Hello students, we are discussing about the outcomes of democracy, and yesterday we discussed in detail about how democracy has failed to reduce inequality and poverty in the countries. We have before us the example of Bangladesh. We have with us the examples of so many other Asian countries which are not even able to fulfill their basic necessities. People are suffering badly, and these countries are dependent on the other countries. Today we switch over quickly to another topic, that is accommodation of social diversities. No society is free from conflicts. In every society, in every country, there are conflicts between the people. We have seen in the example of Belgium in the first chapter of power sharing. We have seen the example of Sri Lanka. We have seen that how both the countries are democratic. We have seen that how in Belgium, government was able to accommodate the different social groups, to accommodate the different linguistic groups. In a democracy, there is a fair expectation that democracy will provide harmonious and peaceful life to its people. Harmonious, peaceful life, that is a responsibility of a democratic government. And it is a fair expectation from a democracy that all the people in the society, they are secure, they have freedom, they have equality, and there is peace. There is no clash between the different groups, because today's societies are heterogeneous societies, and in the heterogeneous societies there are different type of people, they live together. Gone are the days when there were homogeneous societies in the countries. Today there are heterogeneous societies. So accommodation of the social diversities is really a plus point of democracy. Whereas the non-democratic governments, they keep a blind eye towards accommodating the social diversities. They also keep a blind eye towards the conflicts, towards the rivalries between the different social groups. Like we have seen in Sri Lanka, being a democratic country, but they did not care about what was happening between the Sinhalas and the Tamils. Whereas in Belgium, we have seen that leaders, they took an innovative path, a very substantive measure to make all the communities to live together, and the result is that it is a very peaceful country today. But the example of Sri Lanka, where we had seen that Tamils were forced to feel alienated in the country because Sinhalas were highlighted in every way. So the example of Sri Lanka tells us two things. While accommodating the social diversities in a democracy, two conditions are very, very important. And this is a lesson given to us by the incident of Sri Lanka. The first condition is that majority and minority, they should work together. Like in India, we see that majority and minority both work together. They have to be together all the time, because when majority is there, minority is there. If majority takes up and the minority is subordinated to it, disadvantage, if the minority is disadvantaged like in Sri Lanka, that would bring conflicts and even the partition of the country sometime. So majority rule must rule with the minority. Majority must work with the minority as well. Correct? And the second condition that a government must fulfill, that keep in mind that majority and minority are never permanent. They keep on changing. People know that their vote make a difference. All the adults, all the voters, they know very well that their vote make a difference. They have the power to form the government. So this condition should be fulfilled, that majority and minority rules are never permanent, they keep on changing. And moreover, majority rule should not become the rule of majority community. Majority rule should not be converted into the rule of majority community. Majority is one thing, but majority community is dangerous. So these two conditions must be fulfilled. Majority must work with minority, and keeping in mind that majority and minority are never permanent. They keep on changing. And the other condition that they must keep in mind, that majority rule should not be converted into majority community rule. All the communities should be accommodated accordingly, and they should be made to live a peaceful and harmonious life. Why non-democratic governments, they keep a blind eye towards all these conflicts and rivalries? Because they know that they don't have to face the people in elections. But in a democracy, about which we are studying in this chapter, rulers know very well that they have to face the people in elections. And we have seen how democracy is expected to be accountable, responsive and legitimate. So these conditions should be fulfilled. This is your 5 marks topic in board examination, very frequently asked in board. And the last topic of this chapter will be dignity of the citizens and freedom of the citizens. Dignity and freedom of the citizens. This is another outcome of democracy that cannot be ignored, because everyone wants to receive respect. Everyone. If people in a country feel that they are not respected, for example, Tamils in Sri Lanka, if particular community feels that their culture is submerged, that they are under the subordination, they are under some other communities, and they are under the domination of certain other communities, subordination and domination. When it is felt by a particular community, that means their rights, their democratic rights are hurt. And in a democracy, if there is discrimination between the people, in a democracy, if some people are barred from entering into politics on the basis of birth or on the basis of caste, then democratic rule ceases to be democratic for that particular person or for that particular community, ceases to be democratic. Democracy is seized for those particular people. Now, when we talk of dignity of the citizens and freedom of the citizens, let us take 2 examples from India. Women dignity. Women dignity, it's a part of our fundamental duties, that women are dignified. In the earlier societies, they were not. Females had to make groups, they had to make their clubs, they had to write down articles demanding their rights, demanding their freedom. So every democratic government is expected to give proper rights to women, because they form about 50% of the total population of any country. So if they remain undeveloped, if they are not taken care of, the countries will not develop, and even democracy will not be successful. Take the example of caste discrimination. In India, there were so many people discriminated, they were under the domination, they were under the subordination of the so-called high caste people. And they were not allowed to develop. There was no temple entry for them. Even from the economic activities, they were barred from entering into it. Before entering into the towns, they had to clap and they had to tell people that we are entering. So untouchability was there. Some of the people, they were felt to be untouchables. And it is very disheartening, and it is very sad to know that in the previous topic we have read about the poverty in the country. In democracies, there are inequalities in poverty. It is not good to know that governments know that their votes count a lot, and most of the votes are casted by poor people. They know it very well, because there are so many poor people. Majority of the population is common people, poor people, and their vote counts a lot, and the governments are formed by their votes. Even then, when the governments are formed, no government discusses the matters of the weak, matters of the poor. They do not discuss. Just they are the voters, they form the government, that is it. Similarly, when we talk of caste discrimination, they lived under subordination, under domination for a long time. So So democratic governments are it's a fair expectation, and democracies, they are successful in doing this. For example, in India, democratic government is successful in providing dignity and freedom to women, and providing dignity and freedom to the so-called lower caste people, removing caste discrimination from India, untouchability have been abolished. So even in India, there is a realization by the people that their vote makes a difference. If women face any discrimination, if any other group in India face discrimination, they have legal base. They have legal base. There are laws for them. But in non-democratic countries, if women face discrimination or any other discrimination in the country, if any other community faces discrimination, they have no legal base for that. In India, we have the legal base. So, this was your chapter about the outcomes of democracy. From a democracy, we can expect dignity and freedom to all the individuals. You can give the example of India, whereas you can compare it with the example of Sri Lanka. You can, in this chapter, whenever you are writing about democracy, about accommodation particularly, you can very well give the example of Belgium and Sri Lanka, comparing the two countries. So that was it. This was your chapter. Tomorrow we will meet again with the second chapter of history, that is nationalism in India. So be ready for that. Prepare your notes on the outcomes of democracy. We will meet again with great energy and enthusiasm. Till then, a very good day.